We've achieved mission impossible. When we started this, people said to me, yeah, good idea, you must be an idealist, that's never going to happen. And yet now we have services that we know will work, that we know are useful.
Getting a pan-European network for children and families was once thought of as the holy grail in pediatric drug development. And to see it realized now certainly brings me a lot of joy, brings me a lot of hope for children and families.
Pediatric trials are often, or nearly always, very difficult to conduct, partly because of the very small patient pool, and partly because prior to C4C, the infrastructure to conduct pediatric clinical trials was not sufficiently well organized.
We all know that it's very difficult, especially large studies in children, and even more so if we are studying rare diseases.
C4C started when some industry colleagues came to visit our working network in England, and they could see that that was useful and provided value to investigators, both academic and industry. So they had the idea that we could spread this concept to other countries.
For me, the biggest challenge is communication and reaching common understanding. And I think we managed well, but it's a constant process.
Of course, there are different point of views. I mean, we are academia, we are different than industries, we have different objectives. But at the end of the day, if our objective is to improve and to speed up the pediatric drug development, we need to be all on board. We cannot do without industries, we cannot do things without regulatory authorities.
To me, the most challenging thing was all different requests from all the partners.
And our team has faced a lot of challenges with respect to resources. I think this has been a consistent aspect across a lot of the C4C teams, that we've had to work in some very tricky situations where the future has sometimes been uncertain. And I think the sheer dedication of the people that I work with has kind of really, we've been a support to each other. So I think that's really, really helped.
Working together in this collaboration with the other FPR partners, so closely exchanging knowledge and experience, that's a completely new era of how we develop medicines for children.
I think we've become friends along the years, that there is that level of communication and trust and relationship that we've built, that it is a collective challenge that we face. And when we face the challenge collectively, I think the mindset is now to come up with a collective solution.
National hubs are key pillars of this consortium and of this project. They are the contact points and, in a way, the branches of the network at each of the countries. We have 20 national hubs that are active across 21 countries, and they are hosted by national networks. What they do is a range of activities, so both core activities in terms of supporting the trials, but they also do a number of non-core activities such as site support and site development, dissemination of activities from C4C, education and training, and all throughout the project they've been very active in co-creating the processes and the procedures and the documents along with the rest of the partners. So they've been sharing processes, they've grown together, and I think that is something that didn't exist before. The trajectory that each of these networks has had in their diversity, because they are diverse, and when we embrace that diversity, has been one of collective growth. And the maturity that the hubs have today is something that I think makes us proud and is a predictor of the future trajectory of what comes next.
C4C is a unique network in terms of involving patients and families in activities in regards of drug development process. They are partners, they need to be partners, and we will work to ensure that they can be partners of the different initiatives. They can provide the feedback about what means live 24 hours, 7 days with a specific condition, and this is so important to really design patient-centric clinical trials.
Within conect4children, they are involved in all the processes and all the steps, so their voice is heard and their needs are taken into account, and I think that's the added value for the patients and parents.
We cannot do things without parents, without families, which are absolutely essential.
And I can tell you we have several examples of clearly the importance of the voice of the patients.
I think that the C4C could be really useful in the future, for example, in identify and try to really understand how the real-world data can be used in the development of pediatric medicine.
But how can we improve the utility and usability of pediatric data? And we were looking at things such as the FAIR data principles, which is how to make data more findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And one of the key partners we had was CDISC. And CDISC standards are required by many regulators. And over 2 years, we created the Pediatric User Guide, or PUG, with CDISC, and that's now freely available on the CDISC website. As the culture change shifting towards sharing data, we've got ahead with pediatrics, and we've got a real pool of data that can be used, shared, and compared for future research.
I think C4C is a change agent in Europe. It's going to change the whole pediatric landscape, how we do pediatric clinical research.
I'd love C4C to become the go-to network for pediatric clinical trials.
Yeah, and I think the major milestone now certainly was to create this Dichting and this whole project, and going from a project to a startup process and creating something new, still keeping the enthusiasm high in the project. I think that is what is really great.
Within the project, it drives me the children and the families I see every day in the clinical research unit, because they are the heart of what we do. And they remind us the need that we still have for them and how can they contribute to improve the way that we deliver the clinical trials.